right, hello everyone. So sorry for the delay. Of course, if there's anything that can possibly go wrong, it will. And so my camera, unfortunately, is not working. I usually like to present and have my video on, but unfortunately, that's not possible today. So I did want to just introduce myself, and I'll do a formal introduction in just a second, but my name is Jenn Randazzo, and I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm also the Director of Education here at Vital. And I am so excited to be able to hop on this webinar with you all and talk about how collagen supplementation can be really extremely beneficial for healthy aging. So I'm really so grateful for all of your time and energy. And again, so sorry for the delay, but technology is just not my friend. It is just not my friend today. So thanks for your patience, and we are really looking forward to hopping into this webinar. I'll turn it over to Kaylee just so she can introduce herself.
Hi, yes, my name is Kaylee Groover. I'm with Fullscript. So you'll hear maybe a little voice here and there, but really this is for the attendees to hear from Jenn and all that she has to offer, and we are very excited. And I will just remind everyone that we will send a recording to everyone at the end, so not to worry. And then also to ask any questions, and we will do a little Q&A at the end of the webinar.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Really appreciate it and appreciate your partnership and your time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on into today's training. So as I mentioned a few seconds ago, my name is Jenn Randazzo, and I am a registered dietitian. I'm also the Director of Education here at Vital, and I specialize more in functional nutrition. I'm actually a Fullscript member as well. I am a practicing CLT, and that's the big part of my private practice outside of my time at Vital, but I love talking to other healthcare practitioners, specifically more in that functional space. So I really love what we're doing out in the world, and I feel very passionate about it. And as I'm sure a lot of you, if you want to raise your hand or if you want to just say, hey, yeah, me too, in the chat feature here, I'm sure a lot of you are also dedicated to empowering individuals to improve their wellness through more natural approaches, natural alternatives, complementary therapies, really getting to the root cause of what's going on. So I'm sure I'm in good company here today. I've actually worked not only in private practice, I've been doing private practice for about three years now. Specifically more in the functional nutrition space, but I've also been in the natural product industry for a while as well. In fact, since 2013, I started in more of the plant-based world, and now I'm obviously with Vital Proteins, have been with that company since 2018. Again, what's going on in the world right now, I have no concept of time. So I'm like, what year was that? I'm not sure. So 2018, so I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary with the company, and it's been a really amazing fit and amazing journey. So thank you all so much for your support and your interest in Vital Proteins and collagen. So just a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm sure you're all probably pretty used to these types of things, but this webinar is intended for educational purposes. It is really intended to provide you with education and information specifically around collagen-centric topics. We ask that you do not distribute or duplicate this content without approaching us first. So feel free to just shoot me an email and say, hey, I loved your presentation, or hey, I want to take a few bits of this presentation and use it in my professional book of business. Just please go ahead and reach out, and we can provide some written consent there. All right. So today's agenda is pretty jam-packed, and again, I really appreciate your time, and I promise not to go over the hour despite starting a little bit later. In the beginning, we're going to focus just on collagen. We'll do a review of what trends are happening in the collagen category, and when I specifically mean the collagen category, what we do is we pull a bunch of different data from sales, and that's from the natural world, that's from more of a conventional space. So we have a lot of data about the category in general, and I'll share some of that. And then I'll also talk a little bit about the ingredient. I'm sure you're all familiar with collagen, but I do want to make sure that we're all working from the same page when we have a better understanding of collagen and what it does and the different forms. And again, we get a lot of different questions from healthcare practitioners, so I really wanted to make sure that a lot of these questions were answered in this particular portion of the deck. Then we'll dive into collagen as it specifically relates to healthy aging. So, you know, we all are probably familiar with the idea that collagen was a beauty supplement, or originally known as a beauty supplement, but how can collagen support movement and mobility and keep us keep us, living our best life and really promoting a healthy aging approach. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we'll talk about how to incorporate collagen into different client protocols. So again, I know that this is the application part, so I really want to make sure that you all feel comfortable and confident by the end of this training to know who would benefit from collagen and how that collagen supplementation can really become part of a daily wellness routine. All right, and I love giving live trainings. It's one of my favorite things to do at my job, and unfortunately, obviously right now, those are really limited. So I do love giving webinars too. I typically like to have at least my screen on. So again, I'm so sorry that for whatever reason, my screen or my face is not able to be shown, but that doesn't mean that I want to just be a talking head the entire time. So please feel free to go ahead and use the chat feature or raise your hand. There's the questions feature as well. Feel free to make this as interactive as you possibly want it. At the end of the day, this training is really for you who have hopped on, and I want to make sure that each of you has your questions answered by the end of the hour. So don't be shy, throw those questions, throw your chat out there. I will go through as much as I possibly can throughout the training, and then as Kaylee mentioned, we will save some time for questions and answers towards the end. All right, so Collagen 101, let's talk about the category trends as well as the ingredient. So this is where I am actually going to ask for a little bit of audience participation. Before we talk about those things, what do you already know about collagen? So this is where I'm really going to ask if you know anything about collagen. I'm sure there's a lot of you who do. Please go ahead and in the chat feature, tell me what you know. What do you use it for? What are the different sources? Have you had a personal testimonial? Anything that you potentially know about collagen, please go ahead and just utilize that chat feature and share with us right now. I'll offer you about 15 seconds to go ahead and start. So yeah, anything you know about collagen, go ahead and share it with me. Awesome. Thank you, Kaylee. Great. So anything you know about collagen, because like I said, I'm sure a lot of you already know so much about this ingredient. Great, thank you. Great job. Yes, helps with hair, skin, joints. Yes, awesome. Great. Okay, cool. You guys know a lot about collagen. Thanks, Kaylee. Oh, great. Okay. Thank you all. So it just seems like those are coming from the questions. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, these are great. All right, so, and we'll get back to that in just a second, but I love to kind of have a little bit of a icebreaker in the very beginning because I always am so amazed by how much my audience already knows about collagen. So collagen, unless you've been living under a rock, collagen is pretty much everywhere. It's on trend and it's a very fast growing category. And we'll talk a little bit about what trends are specifically driving this growth, but there's a couple of specific trends that are kind of more macro trends. So a beauty from within approach. So more individuals are looking to support their beauty, whether it's their skin, their nail health, their hair health, from within. They're no longer interested in kind of topicals or just serums. They're really looking for what type of nutrition supplementation can help with promoting a more youthful appearance or more like elasticity for their skin, etc. So not only is beauty from within really booming and that kind of desire for a more natural approach, but also functional nutrition is definitely taking off and it's becoming more and more mainstream. So that's good news for us folks here on this call. North America has definitely dominated the collagen market in recent years, but globally, this has definitely been an ingredient that's been around for centuries. If you think about Asian markets, this collagen has essentially been part of their nutrition and part of their wellness regimen for centuries. We're really starting to see an interest in collagen, not just in North America, not just in Asia, but also globally. We're at Vital Proteins, we're actually looking to expand South America, Europe, and definitely there's certainly an interest global and a more global approach to this ingredient. Because of the benefits to overall health, collagen supplements have continued to increase and grow at an annual rate of 9.4%. Again, this is in terms of sales growth when we talk about the category, and this is a huge annual growth rate. Most supplements, just to give you kind of a perspective, most supplements grow like even like weight loss supplements in their heyday may have grown around like 5, maybe 6, maybe 7%. Year over year. But to give you that perspective, and again, that was like weight loss supplements in their heyday. So an annual growth rate of 9.4% is insane. And again, we'll talk about why that this is growing in just a second. We'll dive into some more of these micro trends. But to give you a big number to kind of just try to get your mind around, the collagen industry is projected to exceed $9.3 billion by 2021. So next year, we're expected to see this category hit almost $10 billion, which is pretty insane considering, how fairly short it's been in the marketplace. So as I mentioned, those are kind of those macro trends, those macro drivers of what's really helping collagen boom. But what are some of the more micro trends? We have 3 that we've identified. There's probably more out there, but in just trying to wrangle this in a little bit, there's 3 micro trends that we wanted to really capture that are driving collagen interest and growth. First of all, collagen lives in the protein set. If you go into a supermarket, maybe like a Whole Foods or something like that, and you're looking for collagen, it's going to live in the sports nutrition set, specifically the protein area. And again, we'll talk about this in just a second, but you all know that protein is the macronutrient of the moment. It's been kind of health haloed for a long time, and so everyone wants more protein. Collagen's also been linked to a variety of different benefits, so we're going to talk about that. It's no longer just a beauty supplement. And lastly, consumers are experiencing collagen's benefits and sharing those results by a strong word of mouth. So marketing is incredibly interesting here, and it's definitely a reason why this is growing. So diving into this a little bit more deeply, everyone wants more protein. It's been linked to a variety of different benefits. We all know this on this call, ranging from blood sugar management to lean body composition and many others in between. And, it's very rare that protein consumption is lacking in the standard American diet, but that doesn't mean anything to consumers. They still want more, and they're always looking for another way to boost their daily intake. Now, again, as I mentioned, this has long been considered a beauty supplement, but we are really looking at a bigger demographic that's starting to shop for collagen. It's no longer just known as a beauty supplement supporting skin, hair, and nails. Collagen has definitely started to become beneficial for other features as well within the body. So more recently, we're seeing an increase in consumers wanting to promote healthy bones and joints, strong tendons and ligaments, and even help to boost their athletic performance with collagen consumption. So again, the demographic for who's shopping collagen is starting to really increase and diversify. And lastly, word of mouth dominates. So as you all know, marketing is interesting, right? It's kind of an interesting beast, and it's definitely shape-shifted over the years, but without fail, word of mouth is a huge reason why collagen is also booming, because collagen, when people use it, they can actually see and visualize the results. And typically, whether it's their skin, whether that's their nails, their hair, or even their joints, those benefits are worth bragging about to their families, their friends, their coworkers. And so we've had so many individuals, specifically our consumers, have really shared their experience with others. And if you think about how they're sharing, the reach is becoming more and more expansive, right? It's not just you pick up the phone and you call your 3 best friends. You can post these results on social media. Everyone kind of has more of a bigger audience at their fingertips. So this spread has really, again, contributed to the growth and the interest of collagen. So that's talking a little bit about the collagen category and what has been driving that at more of a macro and micro level. Now let's talk about what collagen is. So again, you're all probably pretty familiar with what collagen is, but at a pretty basic level, collagen is the main protein in the body, and it in fact represents almost 30% of all human protein content. And without without collagen, we would literally be puddles of water on the floor because it's the second most abundant substance, only to water. So truly, collagen is found nearly everywhere because it's a main contributing component to our connective tissues. So obviously, when you think about your connective tissues, that's your skin, your bones, your muscles, ligaments, tendons, and joints. So again, collagen is legitimately everywhere, and it's that key component of connective tissues. And because it's that key component of connective tissues, collagen helps to support strength, flexibility, movement, and motion. And it truly is that framework that holds everything together. I almost consider it as our scaffolding, like our connective tissue scaffolding. And again, not only does it support all of the kind of scaffolding of our connective tissue, but it also helps to support the health and the integrity of those tissues too, especially in our muscles, tendons, bones, joints, and skin. So again, the strength as well as the integrity of those tissues. So collagen is incredibly, incredibly important. Now, you might be wondering, well, why do we need collagen nutrition? Why is collagen supplementation really, truly necessary? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, the body becomes less efficient at producing collagen as we age. So you heard me right. Collagen is actually produced by the body. We all know here on this call that the body is pretty amazing, and add producing collagen to its list of characteristics and capabilities. But unfortunately, the body becomes less efficient at doing so as we age. And not when we're like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and that's not when we're starting to see our collagen decline. Rather, it actually starts around our mid-20s. So, you know, this idea that collagen supplementation is only for individuals that, you know, might be baby boomers or older, you know, it's kind of looking at it in a completely different way, because we do know that the body essentially can't keep up with the collagen production it needs to produce starting around the age of 25, and that's what starts to lead to that decline. So not only does the body become less efficient at producing collagen, but also we're not consuming it as much in the diet as we used to. So our dietary preferences and patterns have changed over the decades. You know, where centuries ago humans utilized the entire animal, so thick bones, broth, organs, tendons, you know, those were pretty much, you know, standard components to the diet. We're no longer doing that, right? I mean, we have a lot of people probably drinking bone broth. Maybe that's the kind of key way that consumers are drinking it. But if I'm honest, I typically gravitate more towards bone broth during the winter or the fall months. I'm not a huge organ meat eater. Does anybody eat organ meats that's on the call? I'm sure there's multiple. I do take our beef liver capsules, but preparing organ meats, oh man, I would love to say that I can do that, and I've done that in the past, and I just haven't. So if there's anyone that's out there that wants to train me on how to prepare organ meats, please shoot me an email, because that would be greatly appreciated. But you kind of get where I'm going, right? You know, not only are we not using these parts of the animals that actually contain collagen, but, you know, that's for individuals that are still eating animals at all. You know, there's obviously such a huge interest in vegan and vegetarian diets that unfortunately there's huge amounts of the population that aren't even considering these components of the animal just because of their dietary preferences don't align. So we're not getting in as much in the diet. And as a result of these two big contributing factors, signs of aging can be visible, and they can be a result of collagen deficiency. And there's a variety of different signs of aging. So when we talk about that, obviously we're not just talking about the skin, but it is a component. So, you know, when we age, skin cells become less active, and the collagen network that provides skin firmness and structure starts to break down. We also see some various signs of aging in our bones. So bone loss becomes obviously greater than bone formation. Our bones become more fragile and easier to break. Our joints, you know, lower levels of collagen and other matrix components caused by aging lead to loss of cartilage and joint function. So, you know, I'm in my late 30s and I am a runner, and I've already noticed that, especially during my longer runs, my joints are not what they used to be. So, you know, that's a personal example of how I notice my joint health becoming a little bit more compromised as I age. And then lastly, muscles. So a gradual loss of muscle mass and strength caused by aging can affect balance, gait, and overall mobility. right? And obviously, you know, any type of atrophy that happens within the muscles that can not only affect balance and overall mobility, but essentially independence, if you really think about it at the end of the day. Because if people aren't balanced and they can't really get around, their ambulatory sense is off, you know, their mobility isn't great, they're going to lose that independence. So there's a variety of signs of aging, and again, those are all can be contributed to a collagen decline and deficiency. Now, collagen is kind of a broad umbrella term that we typically just hear about, but there's different types of collagen, and you're all probably familiar with this term as well. So there's many different types of collagen found throughout the body. Depending on the literature and depending on the source you see, there's upwards of 28 to maybe even 30 different types of collagen. But what you really need to know is that types 1, 2, and 3 make up over 90% of the collagen in the body. And that's because they're found primarily in the parts of the body that are most prominent. So if you look at this chart here on the slide, type 1, you know, that's found in our bones, our skin, our teeth, our cornea, blood vessels, cartilage, and tendons. Type 2 is primarily in our cartilage, and type 3 is, again, skin, ligaments, blood vessels, and internal organs. So obviously the type of collagen really refers to where it's located in the body, and there's a direct correlation between the amount of collagen and obviously the amount of that particular body part available or present, I should say. Now, type is different than source. So we just talked about type. Let's switch over to sources of collagen. And naturally occurring collagen is a protein that's only found and only derived from animal sources. And let me say that again. Collagen is always and only derived from animal sources. So you can find typically collagen in bovine. That is a big one. That's a big contributing animal that provides collagen. Fish, porcine, which is pig. You can also find it in eggshell membrane. That can be another one. So again, those are different sources of collagen. But again, there is no known vegan collagen. There are vegan or collagen builders, which essentially provide the body with nutrients like cofactors that can support the body's ability to produce more collagen, but they don't actually contain collagen, that triple helix molecule. They don't, which is obviously comprised of amino acids, which we'll talk about in just a second. They don't contribute those. So that is a big difference between collagen and a collagen builder, or a product that's marketed as a collagen builder. It doesn't actually contain the triple helix molecule comprised of those amino acids. And that's really important because this affects how this works. So collagen that's derived, like true collagen that's derived of animals, actually works in two ways. One, and really uniquely, it acts as a messenger. So collagen peptides can actually act as messengers to the cells, and they trigger the synthesis and the reorganization of new collagen fibers, therefore supporting skin, bone, joint, and tissue structures. So this is really unique, and I definitely want to stay here for just a moment because this is different than any other type of protein and any other type of, again, quote unquote, collagen builder, because this actually is an active, it's actually an active way that collagen is synthesized, because it's actually triggered by the collagen supplementation. So it's almost like collagen supplementation goes into the body and essentially elbows and says, hey, wake up, collagen fibers, and it essentially stimulates that. Whereas other things, other supplements that don't contain collagen, they don't do that. They don't have that they don't have that same activity. So not only does it stimulate collagen in a more active way, but it also stimulates collagen in a more passive way, because it also supplies the body with the needed amino acids or building blocks to produce more collagen as well. So over 90% of collagen peptides appear in our bloodstream within a few hours of consumption, which is amazing. It's really, really fast acting. And this essentially ensures the effective delivery of the essential peptides and amino acids to their site of action within the body. So it's really, really quick, and it essentially effectively delivers the nutrients it needs to their right receptors in the body. And again, consumption of collagen peptides will help support the body with the amino acids needed as building blocks to renew tissues like skin, bones, and joints. So again, collagen works in two ways, actively and passively, which is very, very unique. Now, the key amino acids, I've been talking about this for a few minutes now. The key amino acids that are really unique to collagen are glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. Those are the three key amino acids that are found in that triple helix molecule. And these represent about 50% of the total amino acid content found in collagen. And these are the exact same amino acids that are found in skin, bones, and joints. And it's this specific composition of amino acids that provides collagen peptides with that unique biofunctional property that cannot be found in other protein sources. So again, this is why collagen truly is unique. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into collagen for healthy aging. So I know that this is the topic of today's presentation. How does collagen actually support movement and mobility? Well, there's a couple of reasons why healthy aging is such a popular topic. And I was so excited when Kaylee and the Fullscript team reached out to see if we wanted to talk about how collagen is connected to healthy aging, because this is something that we're talking about internally at our company a lot these days, this idea of healthy aging and how more and more people are wanting to age well and do everything they possibly can to proactively age as best as they possibly can. So this is a really exciting topic, and there's a couple of different trends that are affecting healthy aging. So first, there's this desire to live for longevity. You know, as I just mentioned, more and more individuals are wanting to have a long and healthy life, not just a long life. Like, it doesn't mean anything anymore to a lot of people if they just live to 100, if they can't feel really good in their body and in their mind after the age of 70. So people really are focusing on the length of their life as well as the quality of life, and they want to really remain independent. A lot of individuals, especially boomers these days, there's been a lot of research talking about how independence is incredibly important for them. And also, this idea of healthy isn't just focused solely on the body, but also the mind and your emotional health. So it's definitely much more of a holistic state of being. Another trend in healthy aging is being proactive versus reactive. And we've talked about this a little bit earlier on this presentation, but you know, consumers are certainly not interested in just reactively changing their lifestyle behaviors based on a recent trip to the doctor. I mean, we know that that still happens, right? Of course, but there is this proactive approach that people are adopting. You know, individuals are seeking ways to avoid that visit, that doctor's visit or that hospital visit altogether, by proactively fostering their wellness on a daily basis. So this is really exciting. And again, raise your hand if you're excited about this, because I certainly am. I love people being able to really focus more on true healthcare rather than sick care. A desire for natural alternatives. So this is when we're starting to talk a little bit about what people are using or seeking to promote their healthy aging. So again, we're really starting to see a big jump in interest in different types of wellness modalities, maybe things that were once considered more kind of frou-frou or more alternative, like massage, acupuncture, meditation, but also people are obviously focusing on ways to optimize their nutrition as well. And a lot of individuals are gravitating towards diets that celebrate, you know, those whole foods, clean, simple ingredients that are very minimally processed. We're starting to see obviously big changes in pursuits of low sugar, no added sugar, and not just sugar in general, but even artificial and even natural sweeteners too. I think people are really starting to adopt more of like a low sugar taste preference too, which is exciting. And lastly, we're really starting to see individuals gravitate towards functional foods. So again, people are looking to optimize their diet, but they're looking to not just focus on calories and macronutrients and micronutrients, but consumers are starting to really have an unprecedented interest in better for you functional foods to maximize their nutrition. So not only what is the calories and what are the macronutrients and the micronutrients that this food is going to be able to provide for me, but does it have any other type of functionality to it? Is it an adaptogen? Is it, you know, what other benefits can it help me achieve? So this is a really exciting time in this natural product space for sure, and just truly wellness in general. So to kind of wrap things up, in terms of consumer purchasing preferences, we're really starting to see consumers seek natural alternatives that can help them proactively live their best life for as long as possible. And consumers are believing in the wellness properties of food and are starting to explore functional foods as viable options to improve their wellness. And this is truly why collagen is starting to really continue to be in the forefront of individuals' minds, because it's a natural, functional food that can help people proactively optimize their wellness and pursue healthy aging. So collagen is, again, really just kind of aligning with, it's almost like a perfect storm for collagen. All of these trends, micro, macro trends, all of these are starting to really align and put collagen in the forefront. So we know that healthy aging has multiple different factors, right? There's multiple different components of healthy aging, but what I really wanted to focus on specifically today was how collagen can support joint health, because joint health is so critical to not only people that are aging in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, but obviously their 60s, their 70s, their 80s. And if you're not optimizing your joint health, obviously that has some significant repercussions, right? So if your joints are achy, you're not able to move around, you're not able to be ambulatory as much, that can affect not only your activities of daily life, but also your physical fitness as well. And, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of individuals on this call today that need physical activity for more than just, you know, body reasons, right? We really need physical activity for our mental well-being, our emotional well-being. And, you know, if your joints are aching, if your joint health isn't where you want it to be, if it's compromised in any way, not only can that compromise your independence, but it can truly compromise the quality of your life. So what's really been exciting is that consumers are really starting to gravitate towards collagen for their joint health. This is kind of a fancy slide. I typically love pie charts and graphs, but the things that I want you to know is that obviously collagen is definitely growing specifically in the joint health space. So we're starting to see sales specifically of collagen for joint health increase, and we're going to continue to see that grow. And on the left, what I think you guys might be interested in is that collagen, yes, it looks like a small piece of the pie right now, but this was information taken from 2018. We should actually get 2020 data by the end of the year. But what's really cool about this is collagen, even though it's a small piece of the pie now, by 2020, I guarantee that that little pie, that little slice is going to be bigger. And from data that we have, we're really starting to understand that consumers are kind of lowering their intake or their interest in glucosamine and chondroitin and gravitating towards collagen. So maybe they used to be taking a glucosamine or chondroitin supplement, but now they're like, collagen is kind of interesting and it has all these other benefits as well. So, you know, if you would ask me for a picture of this pie chart, maybe at the end of this year, certainly by the beginning of next year, I guarantee that what we could assume would be happening is that collagen slice is going to be getting bigger, taking out pieces of maybe multivitamins, and then certainly the glucosamine chondroitin space as well. So definitely consumers are really starting to consider collagen for their joint health. And this actually is backed up by research that we do just with our consumers in stores. So you guys might have seen us at a local retailer by you. We have a demo program, Whole Foods, Sprouts, Costco. Those are just to name a few, but basically what we do is we have our demo team, obviously when they are meeting with different consumers, ask them, like, why are you taking collagen? What are you specifically interested in? And what this this graph and what this data shows is that, sure, hair, skin, and nails is still number one. There's 3 conditions wrapped up into one, mind you, but hair, skin, and nails, kind of more of that beauty angle, is still number one, but not by much. Look at the next highest use, joint health, which is so exciting. Protein supplement is another that people are interested in using collagen for, as well as fitness. So again, if you would ask me for this chart maybe at the end of the year, I could truly feel very confident saying that joint health might bypass hair, skin, and nails, and I could see protein and fitness certainly going up as well. So again, we're going to start and continue to see some shifts where, again, you know, beauty supplement, it'll always be featured as a beauty supplement or thought of as a beauty supplement, but I really do think that more and more individuals are going to be using it for other reasons as well. So That was more anecdotal, obviously evidence, it's just data that we're pulling in from our demo program, but I did want to provide you all with some data and some research that's been out there specifically about collagen and how it supports movement and mobility by promoting joint health. I know that there's a lot of media sometimes that talks about how collagen, you might see articles that are like, oh yeah, collagen's this new thing, but there's not a lot of research out there, but where's the research? And I have to tell you, every time I see one of those headlines, thank goodness I take collagen on a daily basis, because I rip out my hair every single time. I'm just like, there's so much research. There is literally so much research on collagen, and it's not just the beauty benefits of hair, skin, and nails. It is joints. We're going to see much more data come out about how collagen can support fitness. So again, please, I guess my little PSA right now is, please don't just read those articles that are published and be like, oh, maybe there isn't a lot of data, because there is a lot of data on the use of collagen. And frankly, I just think that the data and the literature is going to continue to grow and grow and grow and evolve and diversify, and like I said, become much more robust, specifically in the joint health field as well as the sport performance field as well. All right, so this first study that I wanted to talk a little bit about it's a double-blind study, a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical study where there were 30 individuals. So we're not talking huge numbers, but 30 individuals of both sexes, aged between 30 and 65 years old, and they all had been diagnosed with knee osteoarthritis, and they met certain criteria for pain. So they all had a visual analog scale, VAS score of greater than 40. So all had to meet certain criteria for pain associated with their osteoarthritis, specifically in their knee. Obviously, participants were then assigned to one of two treatment groups. In the investigation group, they got 5 grams of collagen peptides, which was dissolved in 250 milliliters of either water or milk, and they were instructed to take that both morning and night after food. So essentially, they were getting 10 grams of collagen per day. The placebo group was actually given a combination of sodium, a PPI, and a wax bath, so more from a physiology perspective. And the treatment essentially went on for 13 weeks. And as a result, the study demonstrated that collagen peptides, they were either given porcine or bovine, are effective nutritional supplements to improve the overall physical discomforts resulting from OA. So people reported less joint pain, they reported less stiffness, and that was whether they received both porcine or bovine. So again, what this research article was kind of unique in the sense that they not only wanted to evaluate a placebo versus a collagen supplement, but they wanted to actually break it out versus bovine versus porcine to see if either one performed better, and both performed. There was no statistical significance between the two. Even though if you do look at some of the numbers, the bovine would look like it would suggest maybe performing a little bit better, but not statistically significant. So again, this is just for individuals between 30 and 65. Another study that I'm really excited to share is it's a single prospective, single center randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial that was conducted in 2012, and 100 women between the age of 40 and 70 presented with osteoarthritis, knee joint pain, or discomfort. So slightly older demographic here, but not by much. The treatment included, for the investigation group, 8 grams of collagen peptides. The placebo group got 8 grams of a placebo, and the duration was 6 months. So this was a little bit longer in terms of duration. And the results essentially suggested that the administration of collagen peptides was highly efficient to decrease joint pain and stiffness, as seen by the WOMAC score captured in figure 1, which is here to your right. So again, the WOMAC score is essentially a validated form of assessing pain and discomfort. So again, obviously, very significant, statistical significant findings that the collagen peptides really did decrease joint pain and stiffness. Now, one other thing that I wanted to point out before I get to this next study is that, not only is joint pain obviously a potential problem for individuals with their daily lives, and especially individuals that might be a little bit slightly older. You know, the two previous studies that I just shared with you were, you know, 30 to 65 and then 40 to 70. But we're also seeing a huge movement in the adoption of collagen peptides for athletes and even younger athletes. So it's not just these older demographics, but also these younger demographics, specifically if they're active, maybe they're very competitive. We're starting to see these individuals gravitate towards collagen from a more proactive place. So this is the study that I wanted to highlight. It's actually done by Christine Clark. She's a fellow RD, and she used to be the director of nutrition at Penn State. So she was actually spearheading this data and this literature, which was amazing. She's awesome. I'm not sure if anyone knows Christine Clark here on the call, but I was able to interview her, and she was just very ahead of her time with this. So this is very exciting, but this was a prospective randomized placebo-controlled double-blind study where 147 student athletes from Penn State University were studied for 24 weeks, so 6 months between 2005 and 2006. It was about split in half in terms of gender. So 72 males and 75 female athletes were included in this study, but they were all active student athletes who complained of joint pain or discomfort, whether that was caused by just overuse and stress, injury, surgical outcome, or trauma. Now, these athletes were then split into two groups. 73 of them were received 25 milliliters of liquid containing 10 grams of collagen peptides daily. 74 received 25 milliliters of liquid containing a placebo daily. And again, results from this study provided data that supported the view that collagen peptides as a nutritional supplement may be administered to athletes to reduce symptoms of joint pain associated with athletic activity, and that, again, athletes that consume collagen peptides can potentially improve their joint health and reduce pain symptoms associated with that strenuous activity. Obviously, more data and more research needs to be done, but this was a really exciting study, specifically looking at a younger demographic that was just using their joints a lot because they were involved in competitive athletics at that collegiate level. And one more study to talk about specifically as collagen relates to joint pain for the more athletic group, or more athletic, what am I trying to say? Athletes. Sometimes when I talk for a long time, I'm like, wait, what am I trying to say here? Okay, so thanks for bearing with me for that. So this is the last one specifically talking about collagen and athletics. So it's a double-blind, placebo-controlled independent group design where 24 males were studied over the course of 9 days. So this was a little bit shorter in duration, but each of these individuals typically exercised 2 times a week, but they weren't as familiar or accustomed to doing plyometric exercises. They were studied for 7 days prior and 2 days after performing 150 drop jumps per day. The participants were split into 2 groups. Group 1 consumed 10 grams of collagen peptides twice per day, and then group 2 consumed 10 grams of a placebo twice per day, and the results were pretty incredible as well. Supplementing with collagen peptides accelerated the recovery of counter movement jump performance and tended to reduce muscle soreness following bouts of muscle damaging exercise as well as joints. So again, it's really, really interesting to see not only how collagen peptides can support the joint health for individuals that are just trying to optimize their nutrition, and, you know, from a more active daily lifestyle perspective, as well as the sport perspective. So that's why, particularly for me, I am so excited to see other dietitians and other healthcare practitioners in the sport performance space start to call me or start to email me and say, hey, what do you know about collagen in sport? Because this is going to continue to be such an amazing, like I said, an amazing area for research and literature. And again, I'm sure you're all probably working with some clients that might be having the same questions for you. So speaking of those clients, let's talk about how to incorporate collagen into their daily protocols. And again, this is something that I love talking about, especially with other healthcare practitioners, because, you know, to talk about what happens in the research can very, very, very much be different than what actually happens in real life, right? You know, you have this research that's great, and then, you know, as a dietitian or a practicing healthcare practitioner, you read the study and you're like, well, that's great, but that will never happen in real life. But what I'm so happy to talk about with you all is that what we just learned in the literature and what we just read, and that was just a small sampling, by the way. Obviously, I could go on and on about different literature and different research, research, but I had to keep it to a minimum, obviously for time purposes. But you know, this is really where the research in collagen and what can actually happen in daily life is achievable. So collagen can be used for proactive and reactive joint health. So, you know, if you have clients, anyone who would like to support their joint health proactively or reactively, have them consider collagen. So again, that is anyone that is complaining of joint pain, joint stiffness, mobility issues related to joints, or if you are working with athletes that you know, are either competitive at a collegiate, a professional level, or even just athletes that are more like weekend warriors, or, you know, frankly, moms that are, you know, maybe just had a baby and, you know, 4 months goes by or whatever, and they are looking to hit the gym for the first time, and maybe their joints are a little bit sore, and, or, you know, every individual that truly can, that's complaining of joint issues, can certainly benefit from introducing collagen to their daily wellness regimen. Now, you heard me just say daily, and that's because consistency is key. So we do recommend daily use for collagen. Like I said in the very beginning, collagen continues to decline. Our bodies just aren't sufficient or as efficient at producing it as we age. So unfortunately, it's not something that I recommend cycling. It's definitely a daily use supplement that can be most beneficial. Typically, what we recommend both at Vital and what I recommend in my private practice is that starting with 10 to 20 grams a day, and then titrating up from there. So I love starting low and then obviously increasing as you need to. We do have a collagen calculator. I do want to be very transparent with you. We do have a collagen calculator on vitalproteins.com, and that has been incredibly beneficial. It takes into consideration your age, your gender, and then also your protein consumption. So those are kind of, and your activity level, and those are some contributing factors to what can essentially influence your glycine intake. And that's how that collagen calculator was developed, because there's an article out there, and I'll link it out, or I'll make sure you guys have access to it, but there's an article out there that talks about how glycine is kind of the weakest link in terms of collagen production. And because glycine is an essential amino acid, it can be obviously not, we can certainly not get enough of it in the diet. And so it's kind of that, like I mentioned, that weakest link. So we need to make sure that we're consuming enough glycine. And that's how that collagen calculator was developed based on that research. So it's really fascinating. Again, it's still a work in progress. Unfortunately, there's not like a Harris Benedict or anything like that at this point with collagen needs, but we're definitely moving in the right direction. And then lastly, typical results, people will notice a difference between 2 and 4 weeks of consistent use. And that might be stronger, longer nails, that might be hair, that might be joints. People have different experiences on their initial results and experiencing their initial results. So I just like to be transparent. Don't get worried if someone hasn't seen results by 4 weeks. Sometimes 5 and 6 weeks can pass. And if it does get to a point where you're like, I don't know if this is working, either consider titrating up. If you're still at that 10-gram dose or that 20-gram dose, sometimes it truly does require 30 or 40 grams. And then lastly, the difference maker is the product that, you know, I consider to be the easiest to implement into a consumer's routine and is going to make the biggest difference in his, her, or their life. So there's a lot of different collagen supplement products out there. Vital is known for really leading the way in innovation, but as a healthcare practitioner, now as a saleswoman, I always think, okay, knowing my client, what is going to what product is going to make the biggest difference in their life, and also is going to be the easiest they can consume on a daily basis. So I'm really happy to report that Fullscript, your top selling products are products that I use literally every single day, which is awesome. And they're incredibly easy to use. incredibly easy to implement into anyone's daily routine. So we have our flagship product, which is our collagen peptides. We have our marine collagen, which is basically our collagen peptides pescatarian friendly sister. And then we also have our collagen creamer, which is basically a dairy-free creamer, powdered creamer alternative that contains collagen. So again, the collagen peptides is our flagship product. This product you literally cannot go wrong with. There's a reason that it's our #1 product and has been since the company started. Incredibly beneficial, hair, skin, nails, joints, bones, athletic performance. It's unflavored, so you can literally add it to anything hot or cold. Anything that you stir, coffee, smoothies are our #1 and 2 ways of incorporating it into daily life. I personally love the nutritionals because you're getting 20 grams of collagen peptides from grass-fed pasteurized cattle and 0 grams of sugar. There's only 1 single ingredient. So again, from a nutritional perspective, from an ease of use perspective, this product it's tough to beat. Now, that being said, only in the interest of time, you'll have access to this slide and this presentation after, but I know that for me as a clinician and just as a consumer, transparency is really important. So I wanted to include a slide that tells you how we essentially go from cow to canister. Our entire process, it's a really, really high quality process of essentially getting the collagen from the hides of the cows all the way to our canister. So just in the interest of time, I'm not going to read this slide to you. You can certainly read it at your earliest convenience or at your convenience, but just so you know, it is in there for your reference. And then, as I mentioned, marine collagen is an awesome alternative to our collagen peptides, the product that you just saw, but it's for individuals that might prefer a marine-based source of collagen rather than the bovine. So same benefits, same unflavored benefits. So you can literally add it to anything that you stir, coffee, smoothies. It's slightly different in nutritionals, 12 grams of collagen peptides per serving, but still 0 grams of sugar, and literally 1 single ingredient, which is collagen peptide sourced from wild-caught cod off the Pacific Ocean. So again, very, very high quality source of collagen here as well. And this can be a great option for your pescatarian friends or clients, I should say. And again, or someone that might be just more open to a pescatarian friendly version and for whatever reason doesn't want something coming from bovine. And then lastly, our collagen creamer. If you like coconut cream in your coffee, this is an amazing product. It's obviously a dairy-free creamer alternative. Its base is our collagen peptides. It's bovine based, but it's collagen peptides plus powdered coconuts, or coconut milk powder, I should say. And this is a really great product, especially for individuals that are looking for a dairy-free creamer alternative. It does have a slight coconutty flavor profile. We do have a coconut flavor and a vanilla flavor. Both are really great. But again, if you have a client or you yourself is like, I love putting creamer in my coffee and I do it multiple times a day or I do it every day, it can be a great go-to product as well. 10 grams of collagen peptides per serving, only 1 gram of sugar, which is naturally occurring from the coconuts, and obviously a source of medium chain triglycerides as well. All right, so I know we only have a couple minutes, so questions and answers. What questions do you all have? And I'm going to take a drink of water because I am parched. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Kaylee, I think I'll flip it over to you, and in case you had a couple of questions that you wanted to read my way.
Yeah, we definitely got a few coming through that. A lot of great comments. A lot of people saying they love the presentation. Obviously, they'd love to have access to the slides, and a recording will be sent. And I'm pretty positive that we can include the slides with that as well. So lots of great feedback on that. A couple questions coming through. So one of the first ones was, do we know if consuming collagen powders contribute to kidney problems?
That's a really good question. And I have not seen, and you know what? I was like, I bet someone's going to ask. So thank you for asking that. I have not seen any research that suggests that consumption of collagen peptides would impact individuals with kidney disease. One thing that I do like to point out is that typically collagen is referred to as a protein, but as you all know, well, maybe this was kind of new to me when I first entered the natural product industry, that in order for the FDA to consider something and you actually able to consider it a protein or talk about it as a protein, like on your labels and that type of thing, it actually has to contain all 9 essential amino acids. And collagen actually does not contain tryptophan. So it's considered it's considered an incomplete protein. So that's why at Vital, we typically don't refer to it as collagen protein, even though you will see other brands and you will see other people talk about it as such. And consumers obviously always talk about it as a protein. And again, it does have an amazing amino acid profile. But just a little bit of kind of fun fact, nutrition nerd stuff. It's an incomplete protein. So that being said, I haven't seen any research that suggests that it can or it does compromise the kidney function, especially for those with kidney disease, but it will probably be discussed and reviewed. It wouldn't surprise me if that starts to become something that's looked at. Good question.
Okay, great. So another one about the studies you talked about. So in the first study, you indicate that the placebo was a PPI. Was that a proton pump inhibitor, and if so, would that be an appropriate placebo since PPIs adversely affect protein, vitamin, and nutrient absorption, or did I misunderstand the abbreviation PPI?
Nope, you got it right. And you know, it's so funny, and I wish I had the answer for you because I reached out to the investigators of that study because I was curious about why they specifically chose that combination for the placebo. And I haven't heard back. So it's an interesting question. It's a really good question. You did not get it wrong. You got it certainly right. And what I can do is as soon as I reached out to them multiple times, and I haven't heard back. So I'm sorry that I don't have the answer for you right here and right now. But what I can is, Kaylee, if you can just make sure that I know who asked that question,
Yeah.
I will, as soon as I get the response, I can share that response with this entire group if that would be appropriate.
Yeah. And actually, I think that was from an attendee named Cindy, and she has a few other questions too, so I'll read them now.
Okay.
Is there any research indicating whether it is better to take collagen away from meals or with meals?
That is a huge area of interest right now. Right now, there's no definitive, to my knowledge, there's no definitive suggestion on when to take collagen. That being said, in terms of general use, that being said, maybe Cindy and maybe some other individuals on this call are familiar with a research that's coming out of UC Davis, Keith Barr. Raise your hand if you're familiar with Keith Barr. Dana Liss is also one of his research partners. She's a dietitian. That name might sound familiar. They are doing some really cool research specifically around collagen timing and sport. So there is a little bit of timing information as it relates to sport, but in terms of general collagen use, I have not seen something, or I have not seen literature that's been conclusive or even really kind of leading, you know, assuming or not assuming, that's not the right word I want to use, but suggesting that there's specific timing that's most beneficial for collagen. Both at Vital and in my private practice at this point, I feel most comfortable with essentially saying getting it in daily is going to be most important. And typically what I will find is that people just already have their wellness routine and they just start to incorporate it into that, you know, so whether it's in their coffee in the morning, their morning smoothie, that type of thing. But yeah, I wish I had an answer for you on that. That would be much more conclusive, but I just don't at this point.
Okay, so also a little bit of like a very relevant question, actually. It's a question about lungs. I might get this wrong now. Reactive lungs, DZ and ARDS, particularly since COVID-19 pandemic causes these in patients' lungs. So collagen type 1 and type 2 rise in these conditions. Should we avoid or discontinue collagen supplementation if we know or suspect a patient is sick with COVID?
That is a really, really good question. I don't know. I really don't know. That would be a fascinating question. And I mean, obviously the literature and the research on COVID in general is just so new. I know at this point there is literally nothing on collagen as it relates to acute respiratory disease, COVID. That's a really, really good question. And I can reach out. I have a couple of individuals that sometimes I reach out to for more collagen information. So I can reach out and I can see if they have more information on like what would be something to consider. But at this time, I don't have. That's a great question, and I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't yet. So great question, but I'm happy to do a little bit of research from some experts that I trust, and if I get anything back, I'm more than happy to send that out to the group too.
Okay, so we know you spoke about how collagen is really not from a plant-based source, but there is a question, can you buy collagen products that are solely from eggshells?
That is a good question. I know that there's a couple of products that are out there that contain eggshell as well as other sources of collagen. Like there's a multi-collagen out there, but I don't know that there's any that are available that are solely of eggshells, but it might be something that you could Google. I know I'll just kind of bring in more of the business perspective, I could see that being really expensive, because if you think about how much collagen you could actually essentially get from an eggshell membrane, I think that would probably be pretty expensive. And so if there was one that's out there, I'm not sure how much money it would cost, but that might, and I'm saying that only because that might be a reason why there might be not that many options just from a cost perspective. But I'm not familiar with any that are solely eggshells, but there are blends. But if this individual might be coming from like maybe they're asking from a vegetarian perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any that are out there. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. So we also have, someone's been asked how it helps joints if the peptides are broken down into amino acids when they are digested.
Yeah, so it's not only does it provide them with the nutrition that the body needs, like the nutrients, like those amino acids that are needed to again help promote the production of collagen synthesis, but it also specifically stimulates the chondrocytes. So it specifically targets specific parts of the joint, and it essentially actively activates those sites to generate more collagen too. So it's almost like I mentioned a few minutes ago, or a little while ago at this point, it almost kind of elbows the collagen supplementation, almost kind of elbows those sites and says like, wake up, produce more collagen. And then because the amino acids are right there, it becomes much more efficient for the body to essentially produce more collagen, because those chondrocytes or those sites are activated, and they also have the nutrition they need to do their job.
So we also have, I assume, to take it away from thyroid medications. Are there any other medications to be concerned of cross reasons?
That's a really good question. So again, in terms of the literature, there's really not any, to my knowledge, contraindications of collagen and medications at this point. But again, always working with your healthcare practitioner is helpful. You guys can kind of obviously look at that a little bit more closely on a client or a patient by patient basis. But to my knowledge, that there's no contraindications between collagen and medications or any other medications.
And a couple questions. There's actually a lot that came through towards the end here, but a couple on, I guess, your kind of the products itself. Someone said many are adding propylglycogen to non-dairy creamers. Does yours have that?
No.
Is that wrong? Sorry.
That's okay. No, it does not.
And then also, does Vital Proteins contain all 5 types or just the top 3 types of collagen?
It contains so our collagen peptides just contains types 1 and 3. And then so does the marine. So all 3 of the products that I just showed, they contain types 1 and 3 primarily. There's a little bit of 2 in there, but we source it from the hide. And again, that's where kind of that slide that talks about the different types of collagen is really important, because if you think about the skin, like the hide is the skin, so that's going to be primarily 1 and 3. And what I will tell you is that in the research, there is very, very little research, if any, to be completely honest, that looks at multiple types of collagen. all of the research that was not only shown in this presentation, but a lot of the research that I also have in my files, they only look at one, they only look at one source of collagen. So it's either coming from, you know, the hide of bovine, or it's coming from maybe the hide or the skin of porcine, or maybe it's coming from marine. So, you know, just because it doesn't have the multiple sources of collagen doesn't mean that it's not going to be beneficial. And why we specifically like using just one type of collagen instead of a multi-collagen approach is because we are really passionate about traceability and transparency. And with our sourcing partners, our suppliers, we are able to really have a very tight kind of supply chain, like a very good eye over our supply chain. So if there's ever any issues or any questions or anything like that, we know that we can fairly easily get to the root of that without having to consider 4 or 5 different types of collagen and trying to sort through all of that.
Okay, great. Probably just, I have like 3 more. Do you think we have time for that?
Yeah, this is great. I think there's
Okay.
81 people on. So thanks everyone. This is great. I wish I could see you all.
Really great, great questions. So I've heard an RD speak about collagen and say, if you eat a cookie, it won't resemble in the body as a cookie. What are your thoughts on explaining supplemental collagen in that way?
Yeah, that's great. That's actually, so I think what she was trying to say is that if you, if you consume collagen, so if you consume collagen that's sourced from the hide or the skin of cows, the collagen isn't going to stay intact and then essentially only support your skin, if that makes sense. So it's not going to essentially, the collagen molecule that you're consuming, the collagen supplementation that you're consuming isn't just going to impact or benefit where it was sourced from. Because as we know, collagen that's sourced from the hide or the skin of bovine can actually help improve skin, hair, nails, joints, and tendons, ligaments, etc. So essentially what happens is, like I said, the body breaks down the triple helix molecule into those amino acids, and then the amino acids in those collagen peptides essentially then go and do their job where they're needed, whether that's their skin, whether that's the joint, whether that's the bone, whether that's the muscle. So I think she was right on. Like there's definitely, I can see where she was going with that. And I think that, like I mentioned, the reason why she probably said that was just to make sure that people knew that, the collagen molecule wasn't just, or the collagen wasn't just going to benefit the only one area of your body where it was sourced from.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of, I guess, on the same lines as someone asked, how does collagen support digestive aids specifically?
So this is much more anecdotal. There's not a lot of research on the benefits of collagen and gut health. So that makes me super sad as a practitioner, to be honest, because I do know there's clients that I've worked with that have had incredible benefits or experienced incredible benefit to their gut health after they started taking collagen. But when you start to dive into the literature, it's actually much more scarce than the beauty benefits and the joint health. I unfortunately don't have much to specifically talk about as it relates to the mechanisms. I mean, if you think about the gut wall lining, there's collagen in that. So there might be some connection between, helping to promote the tissue, the connective tissue that's found in the gut wall lining, and helping to promote that might impact gut health. But unfortunately, I really am not able to speak to the complete benefits and the pathophysiology behind that.
Okay, great. And then also, I guess, are there any side effects that people have reported?
That's a really, really good question. Not many, to be honest. Literally the most feedback we get from consumers, if I'm honest, is mixing, like mixing well. So sometimes people are like, oh, it's kind of clumpy or whatever. And, what I always talk about is, if you are helping your clients utilize this product, it's always going to dissolve better in like warm or like room temperature liquid. And then what I personally do, and this is again just I've worked with nutrition powders for a long time, I'll add like a little bit of like room temperature water, and I'll swirl my collagen around, and I'll have it completely dissolve. And then I'll add really cold water, and then I'll add ice. If I'm choosing to do ice, I'll add ice at the very end. That can actually be really helpful, because sometimes if you add ice or your water is too cold too quickly, almost the powder kind of seizes up and turns a little clumpy. But that's like only the most, like that's kind of the biggest piece of feedback that we get from that perspective. Yeah, not a lot of negative experiences in the body. So yeah, we're pretty fortunate in that way.
Yeah, that's great. So I'd say one more kind of, I guess the big last question, or the last question that's come through is, in another webinar, it was said that the processing of collagen often adds toxins, and they don't remember exactly which ones. Have you heard of this, and can you comment?
I don't want to comment on the other webinar, because I don't know any of the content. All I will say is that we don't use any toxins, and I don't know if people are still seeing my screen. I think they are. But what's really cool is you guys will have access to this. This is how our collagen peptides, like I mentioned very swiftly, just in the interest of time, but how our collagen peptides go from hide to canister. And as you'll notice, we only use heat, and we only use, we use purified water, we use heat, and we use like a proteolytic enzymatic bath that essentially helps to break down the collagen from its native form to gelatin to collagen peptides. So we don't use any chemicals, we don't use any solvents, we don't use any toxins, of course. We are just really leveraging, purified water, heat, and that proteolytic enzymatic bath.
Wow, yeah, that's great. Well, I would say, we've covered a ton of information here, a ton of questions. I would also mention too, if there's more questions and if you want to reach out, webinars@fullscript.com will take you right to me, and I can pass along questions. We can always, post these slides up with our follow-up and on our webinars page, so you'll have access to me, to the questions, to the slides and the presentation very shortly. I think it's been great. It's amazing. I've learned so much. So thank you so much, Jenn, for doing this. We've got some great feedback too that's come through.
Oh, great. I mean, I've had so much fun. Thank you all so much for your time and your energy. I know that you all have very busy lives and a lot going on, so I can't thank you enough for spending an hour and 15 minutes with me. And I hope next time we do this, I'll actually be able to share my screen with you a little bit more. I'll work with IT on that. So. Thank you so much. And again, yeah, you'll have access to the slides. Please just use them for personal education use. But if you do want to share them outwards with your book of business and your clients and your customers, just shoot me an email or shoot us an email at Vital, and we can certainly give you permission to do so. So. Always really love being able to educate other practitioners. It's one of the highlights of my role here at Vital. So thanks for the opportunity to allow me to do so.
Yes, okay, well, thank you, and thanks everyone, and we hope you have a great day and stay safe.